Hello, this is Mark from I Am Organic Gardening, and today we're going to do a fall cleanup on our 2-foot raised wood chip bed. We got an unexpected heavy frost last night, and boy, it caught me off guard. There's some tomatoes on there I should have picked, but we're going to clean everything up. I just brought the tractor over so I can use the bucket as a wheelbarrow to clean up all the debris and throw that in there. Now, before we start, this is whether it's in a raised bed or in your garden, it's the same type of fall cleanup. You want to assess what you want to do next year already now. So before we remove the debris, do we want to save that debris? Do we want to throw it in the compost pile? Do we want to chop it up and put it back on top of the raised bed? Now, these are questions you should ask yourself before you start. Now, inside this raised bed, I use wood chips. So I have a lot of fungal food already there on the sides, the wood chips. So I don't need more fungal food for it. So what I do need is to still continue to build soil. So in my particular case, since I have all these wood chips lining the outside of the bed down here, I'm going to use just a cover crop to start using that solar power to build my soil again. If I didn't have the wood chips, or it was a flat bed, or in your garden where you don't have a lot of fungal food, meaning a lot of debris or covering on the ground, you should still plant a cover crop. But what you can do is you can chop up the sunflower stalks and everything else too, and just lay it on the ground. You don't have to throw it in the compost pile. You can just sporadically throw over the top of the ground. As long as the cover crop can grow through it, you'll still have that fungal food ready for that surface next year. I took a walk on the other side of the raised bed. You can see we have here some orange peppers left over, which I'll remove. And now you have a strawberry plants also. So I have some perennial roots still in there that is going to help me through until next year to keep that mycorrhizal fungi available in the soil. Now I also have some clover growing in there. Let's get a better shot. You can see, so I have some perennial roots in that bed already. If you don't, the best choice you should do is use some winter rye, but just check on your planting area if you can still do that. So here I have my soil level around here. Now I'm going to go up a foot, and anything from here up I'm going to remove. I'm just going to use some hand pruners because I have some thick sunflower stalks in there and some thick tomato stems. So now we have everything cleaned up and into the bucket of the tractor. Now what's left in the ground still is the stems, the main stem of all the plants. I still have 2 pepper plants in there. I have 5 sunflower stalks still coming out of the ground, and I have my 2 tomato plants. But also too, I have some clover still growing, and I also have some strawberries in the bottom. So we're going to leave them alone. We are not going to pull them out. Never, whether it's in a raised bed or in your garden, you never pull out the roots of the plant that was there. You're going to keep them in the ground, and I'll show you why. Now, if you wish to, you can cut the stems a lot shorter. Just leave a knob so you know where they are. So if you plant next year, you're going to plant around in this area. You're not going to plant in the same spot. If you wish, you can cut the other stems shorter to the ground, but just make sure they stick up about at least an inch so you know where they were last year, so you don't plant in the same spot. So you just plant a little, about maybe an inch or 2 away from it. So just, leave about an inch or 2 above the ground. This is the tomato plant, and this with the sunflower, it's going to be a little harder. Just something like that. So now we have our winter rye. We're just going to take that and we're going to spread over the surface. Now you can do 2 things. You can rake it in, or you can just do this with your hands like so and get in there, or you can throw some soil on top. And you would seed in this whole area around here, but you would stay away from the edges where the strawberry plants in. You don't want too much of the winter rye growing there. You just want it growing in the middle. So you'll fill up the middle as much as you can with winter rye seeds. So I'm going to show you an example of why you should not pull the roots out of the ground and just cut the plants off at the surface of the soil or an inch above it. Now, This is the other raised bed. This is our round raised bed, and it was in part 5 that I opened this up and we explored in there to see how well the roots grew with the sunflowers and the tomato plants. And I left it here for the example, which I wanted to show you later on. But we're going to take a closer look at that root system now, and I'm going to explain to you why you always leave the roots in the ground. So in the middle of the screen towards the top, we have our sunflower stalks, and underneath it is obviously our sunflower roots. Now we also have tomato roots on both sides. Now you can see closer down in the bottom, there's a large stem coming down from those sunflower roots. That's why you don't want to pull them out, because the simple reason is that there's organic matter from all that roots that are going to decay and leave that organic material in the ground, feeding the soil food web. So let's take a closer look. So this holds true whether it's in your garden that's flat on the ground, or a wood chip garden, or a heavily mulched garden, or raised bed. All these roots are so beneficial. We just started with a sunflower seed, or several of them. That's why we have the stems here. Now the first couple of inches here is all beautiful made soil. It has lifted apart. It has let water in and air in, and it will continue to do that. That's why it's so important to leave those roots in the ground, because it worked for you. You don't have to do anything. Imagine you coming back and had to add all that organic matter in there and separate it. You cannot make soil. You can't make the micropores and macropores in the soil. Only nature can do that through the root systems of plants. Plants build soil. Now if we take a look further down here, I broke it off, but when I was digging here, now we have our taproot of our sunflower plant. Now that's down another foot, a foot and a half. And that all that organic material, and that's let's say an inch thick, that has broken up that hard soil that I put back in here and has allowed, again, air and water to go down below and feed all that network and store water down here. So when the plants dry up here, they're pulling from all down here the water from that mycorrhizal fungi that's attached to all those roots. That's why it's so important not to pull out your plants at the end of the season when you do your fall garden prep. Now I also want to show you another example too. Now when you go to pull your roots out of the ground, it's like a bottle of seltzer water. Seltzer water basically is carbonated water. So when you open up that seltzer bottle or pull a root out of the ground, this is what you're doing. You're letting all that carbon dioxide back out of the ground again. And that's the purpose of the plant, is to put it back in the ground. It recycles it all the time. And so what you're doing is that when you pull this root out from the top here, when you remove this, you're releasing all that carbon dioxide back in the atmosphere. Not all at once like the bottle, but over time. That's why plowing or tilling or rototilling or disturbing the soil of any kind over a period of time will reduce the amount of organic matter and make your soil actually become dead. That's the reason, is because the plant is putting all that carbon dioxide back from the atmosphere back into the ground. It's one big recycling thing on our planet. And you can see here that things are starting to eat the sunflower root already and starting to decay it. It's been, probably, the plant has died probably about a month ago, but you can see it's starting to decay already, and it will decay more over winter. Do not worry about if there's still roots in the ground. You can always plant into it. Your lawn has so many roots in the ground, and clover still grows in it, or weeds still grow in it. It's the same thing in raised beds or in your garden. There's enough room in any soil, any time of the year, for all plants to survive. I hope I showed you how important it is to leave those roots in the ground. Just cut them off at soil level or an inch above. They'll do fine. They'll decay over winter. Even if they're there in the springtime, don't worry about it. If they have not decayed, that is telling you also another reason is that your soil is not healthy enough. It doesn't have enough fungi in there to actually start decaying it. It's not so much the bacteria, you have to increase the fungi. So if you're not having the roots decay, or there's a lot of material left in the springtime when you start planting, just add a layer of leaves or some other material, hay, straw, wood chips, to set that motion into play where you can increase the amount of fungi in your soil with that covering up on top. I wish to thank you for taking time out of your day to watch one of my videos once again. I hope I shared something with you. If you can, please share with other people in your gardening community, and thank you very much for watching. Enjoy your day.